Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with our Friday review show of the week, going to be bringing you a brand new book. Hopefully you'll tune in as you've been tuning in the last couple weeks. I've been doing a bunch of natural health, cancer-based reviews. So I want to continue with that here today. This is such an old school book, and I've had this for so long now. It actually came with a CD, right? A compact disc, if you can believe it. That's how long ago I bought this. I'll be sharing that with you here today. I'll also be sharing a follow-up product, which of course I can't link up from the show notes, but I'll tell you where you may want to look for that as well. Looking forward to sharing with you brand new research. These are literally two brand new studies that came out. I always try to stay on top of the latest research of how a mother's diet can actually protect her grandchildren's brain. Absolutely amazing. And it's specifically what she eats in like the first trimester or so. So I'm going to share that with you. And then the second research study, hopefully we'll have time for that, is the effects on the cardiovascular system of sleeping less than that 5 to 6 hours or 5 to 6 hours so per night, and then trying to catch up on the weekends and how that may affect the cardiovascular system positively or negatively. So stay tuned. I always like to start the show with some updates for the week. If you don't want to listen to the updates of the week, that's okay. It won't hurt my feelings, but I like to always share with you what's going on within the community. So really important that this is our last month of the summer, ending soon now, to join the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, become certified as a health coach, whether you only use the information for yourself to become the health coach in your own home, or you use it to build your own practice, whether that's part-time or it's full-time. You can do it virtual or in person. It's literally one of the most amazing jobs in the world to be a certified health coach. We can help you get there with the proven protocols we've been using in my practice now for over 20 years. You can find out more at integrativehealthpractitioner.org. And remember, when you join this month, there's actually an amazing bonus package of your lab choice food sensitivity test or the omega-3 inflammation test that you get to choose when you sign up for the level 1 and level 2. So definitely check that out. Head on over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org. Set up a complimentary phone call with our admissions team. There's no obligations, of course, and download the brochure to learn more. All right. Also, our community fall functional medicine detox is coming September 11th. You can start it whenever you'd like. However, that's 1 week after Labor Day in the U.S. It seems to be the perfect Monday a week later after Labor Day to get back on track. This is literally a whole body reset that's going to help you harness the best powers of intermittent fasting with combined functional medicine nutrient support, the perfect diet plan. It's going to help you to lose some of the pounds if you need to lose a little bit of weight, but more importantly, it's to get the body healthier in terms of hormone balance, glucose balance, inflammation, sleep, clarity of thinking, and so much more. I do it myself every quarter. I can't recommend it enough to you. We've had hundreds of thousands of people go through the EcoLife Functional Medicine Detox. You can find out more at stephencabral.com/detox. All right, this week, lo and behold, our detox is happening September 11th, and we are giving you an amazing offer on the Functional Medicine Detox. Buy 3, get 1 free. That's essentially what, $100 off. So you are able to use that with a group of people. Let's say you get, because the best way to do it is with maybe your husband, your wife, your spouse, your partner. It might be coworkers. You can each do a 7-day, or you can purchase the 21-day if you've never done one before. We highly recommend that. And then you'll have another 7-day to use in another quarter or so from now. So you can find that again at stephencabral.com/detox for all of these details. But that savings ends this week. Okay, podcast recap for the week. Hopefully you were tuning into the Cabral Concept, but if you weren't, here's the shows that you may have missed. On Monday, the 3-part goal manifestation formula. Please tune into that one. If you're into the law of attraction, if you're into setting goals for yourself, if you're into just simply manifesting more in your life for good, for positive, like that's what we all want, check this out. I think the second part is what most people miss. So check that out. That's episode 2754. 2755 was the 21-day Daniel fast. I've looked at every different type of fasting in the world, and this one is a specific biblical type fast. You don't have to be religious to do a biblical type fast, right? We're always trying to learn. We're trying to understand the nuances, and you want to check that out if you're into fasting. All right, let's see. Thursday's show or Wednesday's show was Are You Hungry or Just Thursday? And that was a specific 10-question quiz that will help you to discern very easily, should you eat or should you consume some water, right? And maybe even water with electrolytes. Let's see, that was episode 2756. And then episode 2757, which was yesterday's show, was this thing called G-Flux. And it's G-Flux gone wrong, basically overdone. If you don't know what G-Flux is, you have to tune into the show. You have to find out what that is. So important to understand your unique metabolism, how many calories you need per day, why moving the body is also very important as well. And then what happens when you move it too much, right? So tune into that show. All right, product review for the week. So every Friday, I love being able to bring you a product review and a book review. Okay. These two today are tied together, just like last week's was. I don't think that I'm going to continue to do any more natural health cancer-based books for now. However, in the future, I did say, and I do mean this, probably, try to hold me to this for sure, probably by the end of October, early November of this year, I will have a whole page on natural cancer support, okay? So I just want to share with you, I can't provide any medical advice, definitely no medical cancer treatment plans, medical diagnosis, or medical cures. What I want to share with you, though, is at least another perspective. I'm not even against some of the forms of conventional medicine cancer therapy. I'm really not. And I've shared that on many shows, that actually some of them combined are even more powerful. So I'm all about getting people results. That's it. I talk in this podcast in a very plain, direct manner. That's who I like to be. It's who I am. I don't want to mix words. I want people to know the truth. Like, that's basically it. So some of my colleagues aren't going to be happy with that because they might have a particular thing that they promote, right? And some people promote the other thing, and so they're not going to be happy about it. I've always done one thing. I do right by my clients, and I consider this community to be basically clients, like part of our health community. So that's it. So all I'm here to do is share the truth. So I've shared before, and you can tune in to last week's show, that if you're choosing to do chemotherapy, that there is a specific fasting formula that helps chemotherapy work so much better. Because chemotherapy on its own, as like the only methodology, less than 3% success rate over 5 years. So not that good, right? But other things combined with it can be healthier, right? And then I'm not against surgery to remove a tumor. However, if you don't do anything else, it's most likely going to regrow, or another one will, because like the underlying root cause has been. So like, again, I'm just trying to share the truth with people. And there's a lot of natural health things that do work. My recommendation, if I ever needed to do it, I wouldn't do just one. Right? I would do multiple. Today, I'm here to share with you one of those. There is actually good research on it. The interesting thing is, if you go on Google and you Google vitamin B17 or laetrile, you will find only articles that talk about how it's dangerous, how it's never been proven, like all of these things. And you look at it and you just say, so there's not one website that can make it in the top 20 of its positive effects? What about the thousands of anecdotal stories that people share on its positive effects? What about the previous research from like 100 years ago, not quite, of its positive effects? So to me, that's always a little bit dangerous as well, the censoring, right? And so just doing this podcast, I understand that I'm going to be censored to a degree. I understand that, maybe even to a large degree. But I have to speak the truth. It's just the way that it is. So again, not providing any medical cures, not telling you that you should even do this. What I'm saying is to just look into it. That's all. So the book is called World Without Cancer: The Story of Vitamin B17 by G. Edward Griffin. It has done, the last update to this book, not that it needs any more, it had 22 printings from 1974 all the way to 2013. So just sharing with you, that is the last edition. It's a serious book with a lot of research. Now, the first half is basically on like the positives of B17. It talks a little bit about B15. And the second half is really talking about, I don't want to call it conspiracies, but it's talking more about conspiracies. Now, we all know over the last few years, conspiracies sometimes come true, right? And so are they conspiracies? Well, maybe it's the truth not yet uncovered. That's one way to look at it sometimes. Again, not all conspiracies come true, but some do. So anyway, what I'm saying is if you have an open mind and all you're after is the truth, you can check out this book. If it just seems like it's dangerous and unworthy of your time, totally understand. Like that's your prerogative, and I agree with that. But I think that there's a lot of things that I read that I say, all right, yeah, I appreciate that person's view. Don't agree. Not gonna, blast them or anything like that. It's just, yeah, we don't agree. That's okay. So anyway, you might even be able to find an old school copy. I don't know when I got this. I obviously got this in the early 2000s. For sure, the early 2000s, because they sent me a CD, which is interesting. I can't say that I've ever listened to the CD, but anyway, read the book, and the book is interesting, okay? So now let's just say that you want to move forward with using vitamin B17. You can actually get with the most common form, which is called apricot kernels, or bitter almonds, they're sometimes called. But you really want to look for apricot kernels. It's basically the kernel inside of an apricot. You can get it in capsule form if you don't like the taste. It's a little like numbing when you chew on them. But you can get it. There's a company out there called Apricot Power. I have no relation to them. Can't even link them up in the show notes, but just want to share that with they do work specifically on this, and so I wanted to share that with you. Now, there's always the controversy that these things contain cyanide in them. And why would I ever recommend anything with cyanide in them, right? And so I get it, because I didn't look at it for the longest time as well, because that seems to be the truth. Well, there seems to be a huge difference between the cyanide in apple seeds, which I always thought were poisonous, right? Everybody's taught that they're poisonous, but it goes into like the apple a day where people actually used to eat the seeds, interesting, right? And apricot kernels that people eat by 30, 50 a day. Again, I'm not telling you to do this, but there is actually science behind it. So the B17 is actually from a natural source called the amygdalin. And the amygdalin, let's just say we're eating the apricot kernels, is consumed by the body. Now, it seems to be, because there are no deaths that I've been able to find, that amygdalin only kills cancer cells. And again, I have to say, this is just anecdotal. I'm not telling you that this kills cancer, okay? I'm just saying this. And the amygdalin actually contains, though, not just cyanide. It contains 2 glucose molecules, benzaldehyde, and cyanide. And cyanide and benzaldehyde, which I can never pronounce, they are poisons, no doubt about that. But what happens is when they are poisonous when they're not combined with other molecules, okay? So there's an enzyme. Well, let's put it this way. The healthy cells have a way of ridding or not absorbing these particular poisonous substances by an enzyme that is actually inside of the apricot kernels called rhodinase. And rhodinase, I'm going to actually read it to you. By binding the cyanide to the sulfuric rhodinase, it is converted to cyanate, which is a neutral substance. Then it is easily passed through the urine with no harm to normal cells. Cancer cells thrive on fermenting sugar instead of metabolizing with oxygen. Amygdalin contains 2 glucose molecules, so the amygdalin molecules are quite appealing to sugar-hungry cancer cells. And cancer cells contain an enzyme that normal cells do not share called beta-glucosidase. The enzyme is considered the unlocking enzyme for amygdalin molecules. It releases both the benzaldehyde and the cyanide, creating a toxic synergy that may destroy cancer cells. The cancer cells' beta-glucosidase enzyme causes cancer cells to self-destruct by opening themselves to cyanide and benzaldehyde. Again, I do not want to say that this is a cancer-based therapy, but I just I know how many people are suffering from cancer with family members, etc. And it will be 1 out of 2 people by the year 2030. It's already 1 out of 3, unfortunately. And so I just want to share this as more information. Not the only thing that I would do, but interesting to look at, maybe even in conjunction with other things as well. So we'll keep it at that for today with that. All right. So I can link up the book, but I can't link up any ever nutritional supplement or even a food-based supplement that you shouldn't necessarily be consuming because the powers that be do not want that. Okay, that is that with that. We're moving on now to our research fun topics, right? Fun topic here. And that is that, believe it or not, and I think that this is a pretty impressive one, that what a mother consumes, very specific foods, can actually benefit the brain of her grandchildren. So here it is. It is out of Monash University, and I'll link it up for you. I can link up the research at stephencabral.com/2758. So mothers who eat apples and herbs in early pregnancy could be protecting the brain and health of their children and grandchildren. A study using genetic models has found the discovery is part of a project that found a mother's diet can affect not just her child's brain, but those of her grandchildren. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. I can link you up to the actual study, but I actually wanted to share the foods with you that are protective. So they found that a specific substance called ursolilic acid, it's URSOLIC acid, helps with axon fragility. So they found that ursolilic acid causes a gene to turn on that makes a specific type of fat. This particular fat also prevented axon fragility as animals aged by improving axon transport and therefore its overall health. Now, I want to help digest that and actually translate what does that mean. So inside of your brain, there are neurons, and neurons actually contain basically dendrites or like little tentacles. It contains a tail and axon, and it helps to send signals from one neuron to another. That means that if you want to process information quickly, if you want to recall memories quickly, if you want to send neurotransmitters through the body, you're using these neurons. And what happens is as we age, those neurons can actually deteriorate. And as they deteriorate, the signals become weaker, or unfortunately in Alzheimer's and dementia, maybe not at all. They get blocked, right? They get cut off. So by eating specific foods, such as apples and certain herbs, which I know I have here because I did see them and I did look it up, you are able to stave off or a lot of the axon degeneration and actually improve brain health of not just your children, but grandchildren. All right, here they are. So it is apples, basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, and sage. Those are the ones. So an apple a day, as we were just saying, right? Could be really important. But then basil can be made with nice pesto sauces. You can use rosemary with cooking many different types of food along with thyme, oregano, and sage. So these things can be added to a lot of meals, get a lot of benefit, again, for that brain, for I would say both mother, child, and grandchild. So how amazing is that, right? All right, let's move on to our second research study of the day. This is one that I love studying sleep. I love studying anti-aging. And here's the... It was done at Penn State, literally just done last week. This study was just released yesterday. So that's how new it is. Playing catch up on the weekends may not improve cardiovascular cost of sleep loss. Let me take you through the study. So essentially what it did, and it was a well done study, and it was 5 days. Okay, so here's what they did. So for the first 3 nights, the participants were allowed to sleep up to 10 hours per night to achieve a baseline sleep balance. So it's whenever you wake up. Some people wake up after 8 hours. Some people wake up after 9 hours. Some people wake up after 7.5 hours. Some people wake up after 9.5 hours, okay? So they let them sleep for 3 days. And what they did was they took basically all of their biomarkers, and they looked at their resting heart rate and much more. And then for the next 5 nights, the participants were to only sleep for 5 hours per night. And then they were followed by 2 recovery nights, like let's say a weekend. Saturday and Sunday, they could sleep longer, where they could sleep up to 10 hours per night. And they evaluated the resting heart rates as well as the blood pressure every 2 hours during the day. I'm going to cut right to the chase through the whole study. What they found over baseline, so they knew where they were over the first 3 days, is that the resting heart rate and the blood pressure did not, so they were elevated on the days where they only got 5 hours sleep. So not good for the cardiovascular system, right? Not good for the heart, not good for the vascular system with blood pressure, not good for the cells. And what happened was, even after the 2 catch-up days, like the weekend, let's call it, the 2 days where they could sleep up to 10 hours, the resting heart rate and the blood pressure never fully recovered. So when you think about that, doing that over 10 years, 20 years, 30-year period of time, really detrimental for potentially heart attacks, heart disease, blood pressure, strokes, etc. So I wanted to share that with you. And just because I really do value sleep, and I think it's so important, and I think we overlook it as a society because we're always on the go. We're always pushing ourselves. Again, I'm in that same mentality a lot of time as well. But we have to step back and say, all right, if you're going to push hard during the day, you need to recover just as hard as well if you want to live a long, healthy life. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, all of the links today will be at stevencabral.com/2758. If it was helpful, obviously leave a note in the comment. We would love to hear from you, and share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing start to the weekend, and I'll be back tomorrow answering your questions on the Cabral House Calls. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.